Hey guys, welcome back to another JC Tennis video. So Sascha Zverev today in round one of Wimbledon, he lost to Arthur Rinderknech in 5 sets in a match contested over 2 days. Sascha, after the match, had some strong quotes about how he's feeling, not just in tennis, but in life. He mentioned a couple things, one lacking joy in both, two, feeling alone in both. So you see the headline here, Sascha Zverev lacking joy after Wimbledon defeat to Arthur Rinderknech. So let's jump into some of these quotes. By the way, really, really tough loss for him. To be the 3 seed at Wimbledon and to lose in round one, especially after all the Grand Slam heartbreak he's had in his career. Obviously, he wants to win one more than anything. It's got to be tough to show up at just any of these majors. He's had so much success at slams lately, making a lot of deep runs. It has to be tough to show up to one of these slams in decent form. He made the final in his first grass tournament this season to lose in the first round like that. So this is what he had to say. So the article goes, on Tuesday it sounded like those disappointments had caught up with him. So Sascha said, "I feel very alone out there sometimes." He said, "I struggle mentally. I've been saying that since after the Australian Open. I'm trying to find ways to get out of this hole. I keep kind of finding myself back in it in a way." I have heard him talk about how he thinks he's made it out of it with some better play, but clearly it's not just that, and clearly it's a little bit deeper if he keeps finding himself back into it, because it's clearly not just tennis. And then he goes on to say, "I feel, generally speaking, quite alone in life at the moment," which is a feeling that is not very nice. That's kind of a crazy thing to say to the media. I'm surprised that that they got that out of him. That's a pretty honest admission. And then the article talks here about Zverev, who is coached by his father, Alexander, said that he would consider making a change to his team ahead of the Canadian Open in August. He has previously worked with former world number ones Ivan Lendl and Juan Carlos Ferrero, who now coaches Carlos Alcaraz, as I'm sure you all know. But he stresses that how he was feeling was more about more than his tennis. "Something within me has to change, which is not necessarily on the tennis court, a forehand or backhand right now." Asked whether he would consider therapy, he said, "Yeah, maybe. Maybe for the first time in my life, I'll probably need it." Another real honest admission saying, "I'll probably need it." He goes on to say, "I've been through a lot of difficulties. I've been through a lot of difficulties in the media. I've been through a lot of difficulties in life generally. I've never felt this empty before. Even when I'm winning, like in Stuttgart or Halle, it's not necessarily like a feeling that I used to get where I was happy, over the moon. I felt motivated to keep going. It's just not there for me right now, which is, again, the first time in my life." I think part of this thing with Zverev, and probably part of a reason he's feeling this way, the guy's so good. He's better than pretty much everyone on earth at the sport of tennis, besides 3 or 4 guys at a time. He's been the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th best tennis player in the world for the better part of the last 8 years, especially in these last kind of 2 years. You could probably only say there's been 2 or 3 better players than him in the whole world. Yet the media still treats him like he sucks, like he's a choker, like he's done nothing good, and he's the worst, basically. He gets treated like he's the worst, like he's a loser. Like, just because he can't win a major, just because he's not Carlos Alcaraz, just because he's not Novak Djokovic, that he's nobody. Meanwhile, guys that don't have the standard that Zverev has, like Grigor Dimitrov, Alex de Minaur, just all sorts of other players, Hubert Hurkacz, just so many players come to my mind that are so well beloved. But it's not like they've won anything either. It's just he's in this weird spot of being so good that there's an expectation to win, that every time you enter a Grand Slam, you got to win, or it's like a disappointment. The other guys don't have to live that way because that's not expected. But he's not an Alcaraz, a Djokovic, or a Sinner who's once in a generation going to be picking off title after title, slam after slam. And I'm sure just the way he's treated in the media, it's probably caught up with him. And it's probably caught up with him too, having this expectation of being an Alcaraz, being a sinner, when maybe he's just not that guy. I do think watching him, I watched this whole match today. I was actually live on YouTube on this channel watching it, and I bet he hears it every day, and I bet it's part of what drives him crazy, but I don't understand why he can't change up his tactics a little bit and get better at different things and have more variety in his game. I don't really understand what's holding him back from doing that. Maybe it's something he practices, and then in the moment, he just can't do it. I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe in practice, he's not passive on points, and he hits big. I'm sure he does. But it's just this thing in the big moment, he just reverts back to the same old version of himself. And it's just not enough to get him over the hump. It's enough to beat a lot of players, almost everyone in the world. But it's not good enough to beat one of those best guys. And it's not good enough to beat a guy like Rinderknech, who's peaking. And it's not going to get him through a tournament on his least favorite surface, which that's what grass is. That's what Wimbledon is. It's his worst tournament. It's his worst Grand Slam. So that's my thoughts on him. I've watched this guy's whole career now. I feel like there's no tennis player that's playing right now that I have a better perspective on start to finish than Sascha Zverev. But yeah, you don't like to hear this type of thing from any tennis player, that they're lacking joy, not just in tennis, but in life. It's a tough thing to hear. But that's really all I have for this one, guys. Just want to show you this article, show you these quotes, and I'll see you guys next time.